Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Imaginal Goo. I'm so excited as always because we have a super special guest with us today, and I have been itching to have this conversation because I feel like we always have so many incredible conversations offline together. So we have the incredible Janessa Jones with us.
Hello.
Some may call her my work wife, my work bestie, but she truly is a soulmate of mine, and I'm so excited that we get to have a conversation together today. Janessa, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Excited to finally be here.
Yay! Me too.
Long time coming.
There are so many things I feel like we can get into, but I think where I'd love to start is, what is the worst piece of advice that you have ever received? And I ask that because who you are for me is, I remember the first time I met you, I just instantly was like magnetized. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know who this woman is, but she's so amazing. She's so cool. She has this aura of light, but also wisdom. And I feel like you're so grounding for me. I'd be so curious, like, what have been some pieces of advice that you've received but actually haven't been that great for you? Because I think, you didn't just show up this way.
Yeah. Same. I felt the same about you. I think our souls were meant to find each other. The worst advice is hard because I feel like when I hear it, I just tune it out. Mm-hmm. But I do remember it was like in 2020, my boss at the time, I was having a really hard time with the state of the world, energetically, where I was at in my personal, professional life. And she told me to get out of my head. And I feel like it could be good and it could be bad advice, but for me and what I needed at the time, it was like terrible advice. Because I think it's important to be in your head and to really think about what are your priorities, like what are your values, why are you feeling this way, and kind of like dig deeper on how I was actually feeling about my output into my role at the time. And I think maybe she was coming from a place of like, get out of your head, it's not that deep. But like, to me, everything is deep. I don't like telling other people that. Like, I feel like get out of your head, it's just like an easy out to avoid whatever like the deeper meaning is of something, and then like being vulnerable too. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
That one really stuck with me.
And were you able to recognize in that moment when your boss back then said it, that you didn't like it, or did it kind of take some time for you to like actually try it on?
Instant.
Okay.
When I feel things, I feel it instantly.
She's tapped in. Tapped in.
She said it and I was like, oof. I ended up talking to my friend the next day. I was like, she said this and da-da-da. And I hated how she came at me like that. Like, what does she mean, get out of my head? I am a bit more like dramatic when I do feel those things. I was like, you don't know me. What do you mean, get out of my head? That's all I do.
Totally.
I was offended.
And that's no longer her boss. So, and so we moved on.
We've moved on.
We've moved on. I so appreciate you kicking us off with that story, because Imaginal Goo, for those who are first-time listeners, who maybe have never tuned into other stories or episodes before, Imaginal Goo really is about this relationship that you have with yourself. And I think it's about the journey of what it is to grow up and kind of this evolution and the different versions of yourself. And it's inspired by like the actual natural experience of a caterpillar going into a cocoon and then transforming, literally having a metamorphosis into a butterfly. So Imaginal Goo is about that moment when you're in the cocoon and you're kind of like this goo disintegrated and you think, oh my gosh, it's over. But little do you know that the best is yet to come and you're about to be a butterfly. And I bring that up because I think a lot of that journey of Imaginal Goo is actually learning how to trust yourself and how to actually listen to yourself as you go through that journey. So the fact that you're able to hear a piece of advice and instantly be turned off by it and recognize, no, that's not me, I think is such a beautiful example of like how that can show up for people on the day-to-day. And it doesn't have to be big life-changing decisions, but it's actually how you choose to show up and behave. So I guess to follow up on that, for those who don't know a bit of your story, can you share more with us about how did you come to LA? What did you study? What are you passionate about? Like, you're the epitome to me of like a multi-hyphenate person that expresses yourself in a lot of different ways. And how you move in the world, I think, is really unique. So I'd love for people to know more about just like your backstory, because I think it'll also connect why that piece of advice was really irrelevant for you. So would love to hear more.
Yeah, I mean, I'm such a rambler, so I'll make it short. But I'm originally from Northern California, and I moved to LA because I decided to go to FIDM, the Fashion Institute, Design and Merchandising. And I chose to go to that school because I grew up on the internet, loved YouTube, was obsessed with all of like the makeup gurus and the Desi Perkins of the world and everything like that. FIDM had a beauty industry marketing program. So once I found out about it, I was like, okay, let me do 1 year in San Francisco. And then we had to all move to Los Angeles because they have a campus here, which is their main one, where there were a lot more instructors and professors. So it was required of me to make the move. But I was also really excited about it because I always wanted to get out of like my hometown, whether it was moving to San Francisco or moving to New York. LA was never in my, like on my vision board. But when I came here, I just love the energy that LA like gives you. And so when I came, I was working multiple jobs. I was doing like visual merchandising, and then I was doing Mac freelancing, and I was trying to find an internship while also going to school. And then on top of that, I had the energy to like try to be a YouTuber. So I love it. I mean, you can't find them on the internet anymore, thank God. But like I would sit in my little studio, like in the building right next to FIDM in downtown LA, and like film so many videos. I would talk to myself all the time. I would pretend I would actually vlog, like not pretend, I would be vlogging.
Wow.
So I was so like driven by the LA life, and LA life in quotes, because at the time, like it wasn't really, like being an influencer, being a creator wasn't as big as it was. Like I came to LA where like you would go to the club and no phones were out. Like Snapchat was like barely a thing.
Wow.
You would go to concerts and like not everyone is recording it. Like I got a taste of that, but maybe like 2 years into living in LA, that's when the creator industry really boomed. So life just changed and my relationship with social media changed, and I just didn't want to do that. I felt like I was giving too much of my privacy away. With all that being said, I ended up getting my first job in social media, which was interesting. I interned at a beauty brand, and it just felt like the right time, right place. It was like my dream company. I worked at Sephora, and I would always be drawn to this brand. I would use their products. I loved their mission. I was obsessed with their packaging. Like creatively, I was like, oh, this is like my brand. Like this is, if I had to rep anything, I would be proud to rep them. So when I started, I just became obsessed with how people behave on the internet. Like, especially growing up, when you have like MySpace and Tumblr and YouTube, reading the comments. I was never one who comments, but I was always one who like would read everything. I go down Reddit rabbit holes and all of the things like that. I Google everything. Like, I just love knowing what people are thinking about. And so I think that has really stuck with me throughout my career because I stayed in social media and specifically stayed in the beauty industry because that's just where my passion lies. I just love the community that the beauty industry brings together. Like, it's all about literally everybody and just the transformation and feeling good and putting on, I hesitate to say masks because I think there's like a bad connotation with masks, but like putting on different looks that express yourself, just like how fashion does. But with beauty, I think it's like a lot more deeper than that because it's literally like your face. And
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm still in beauty, so
Still
here I am.
beauty.
I still love it.
Oh, I love that. And I think, you know, for anyone that's like listening who would look at your life or even the snapshot of your life that they're listening to as like a vision board for them, what do you think has been some of the biggest like lessons that you've learned as you've navigated, like, surprise, you now need to move to LA. Surprise, like, now the creator economy has boomed 2 years into being here. Surprise, COVID. Like, I feel like there have been a lot of twists and turns in your story that maybe led you to where you are now, and it wasn't as linear. Do you have any advice for people who are trying to be you and look up to you in your journey?
Oh, I could say so much. I have so much advice to give. But I think the biggest thing is to like roll with the punches. I've always had a vision for my life. When it came to my career, I didn't know what the in-between looked like. I just knew I want to be a CMO one day. I want to own my brand one day. I want to be a creator one day. I want to be all of these things, but I didn't actually look into all of the little baby steps. I kind of just like figured it out as I went. And I think that's good because it doesn't really set expectations too high. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think that being able to go with the flow of things have really helped me. And if I do hit a surprise and I'm like, oh my God, what do I do now? I look at it in a very strategic sense on like, what can I get out of it right now in my life? Like, what is important for me to get out of it? Like, I might not like where I am currently, and I know things are about to change, and I know I have to do something. What is that? I don't know. But how I figure that out is just looking at the bigger picture again, looking at that top goal again, and reminding myself, like, you started here for this reason, or you ended up here for this reason. Is that still important to you? And if it is, just keep going. But if it's not anymore, then shift everything and like figure it out.
Yeah, I love it. What I'm hearing you say is you are a very like values-based person where like if something doesn't hit, it just doesn't hit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
like
facts.
whether it's like an old boss who gave you advice that you actually don't align with, it didn't align because you actually know what does align with you. And even as you like share now is such great advice of like just going with the flow and rolling with the punches, but keeping that big picture in mind. How did you come to be how you are now, which I realize is a big question. So let me get more specific. Like, how did you come to distinguish what matters to you? And like, when you say like that big picture, what are some practices or things that you've done to be like, yes, this hits, this is what I believe in, this is gonna help me guide my decisions?
It's hard to answer that because I feel like I'm at that point right now where I'm figuring it out. Like I'm at the start of my Imaginal Goo phase, like
Another
the very
one.
start, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So you're on the brink of your life changing again.
Yeah.
Like even if we're thinking
feel
about
it.
like surprise for those tuning in, Janessa's also engaged. We'll talk more about that later. But like that's a big life change.
Yeah.
So when you think about like every time your life has changed or you've made a pivot somewhere, what have been some things that have maybe grounded you or have helped you navigate that change?
I think I always just choose myself at the end of it. Because I think I've grown up being very observant of how, like I'm a younger sibling, so I'm very observant of people and their feelings. And I kind of wait and see examples of things, and then I decide how I move. I think I did that a lot growing up. And then when I moved to LA, I was like, oh, I don't have any examples really. Like it's a free-for-all, like do whatever you want to do. I think like whenever I've been in those moments where I do feel my life is changing, even I've been in a relationship for 10 years and I feel like even in that, I consistently choose myself and make myself a priority. And that has actually helped our relationship in so many ways. I like to be selfish, like when those moments happen. Like I think I used to hold space for a lot of other people and like I don't hold space enough for myself. So when I did move to LA and ever since then, I always make it a point to where like, okay, if you're not okay, let's crack open a self-help book. Like let's go down a YouTube rabbit hole on astrology and figure this out. Like, let's get our tarot cards read or something and like get myself thinking and just invest in me as much as I possibly could to like find out what values have shifted. Is it still the same? I know that I'm destined for something big and just trust in myself. You're gonna make the right decision. I guess you can say intuition, right?
Yeah.
Like every time something big happens and I'm like a little freaked out and I have like a small crash out or like mentee B, I'm like, okay, let's dig in. how are you actually feeling, and then just go based off that. So yeah, it all comes back to self and intuition.
That's so good. So juicy. Oh my gosh.
Took me a while to get there, but like,
hey, we got there. We got there. I've always been so inspired by you because I remember from the moment I met you, have always been a role model for me. And I feel so fortunate that I'm surrounded by women where literally if you're in my life, it's because you're a role model to me. And I feel very fortunate to have curated like a friend group and a life where every day I feel inspired by the women in my life. And you're definitely one of them in a big way. And that's all a long way of saying, like, how did you develop your intuition over time? Because I think that was something where I never really started to think about my intuition until honestly, like my late 20s. And it took a lot of painful breakups, like epic fails and flops in business, and even like starting my own business. And that whole process was very humbling for me, but intuition was like not a word that I was ever familiar with, let alone would answer if someone were to ever say like, how did you navigate life? So how did you start your relationship with your intuition? And I guess how have you grown it?
Ooh, I love that question. I've never really thought about the beginning of it. It's hard to pinpoint the moment, but I feel like when I was really young, actually, I'm a younger sibling, and I feel like I spent a lot of time alone after like middle school. So like my whole like high school life, I was a very social person. I had friends, like it was fun.
I had friends.
I did sports, it was great. But at home, I spent so much time by myself. I would literally talk to myself, like the mirror closet. And I would literally like, I would get ready in it. I would like hype myself up. I would like genuinely have a conversation with myself. If I was feeling sad, this is so drama, but like I would look at myself in the mirror when I cried because I'm like, what is really wrong with you? Like, are you okay? But when I really like tapped into it, it was definitely after like my high school breakup when I moved to LA. You know, you have the big moment where you're like, oh my God, like my life sucks. Like, what is gonna happen now? I just had this feeling like that was not meant for me anyways. And it was such a deep-rooted knowledge that I was like, wow, maybe I should trust how I feel more often. Whenever something happened to me that I felt like was a little dramatic or like, you know, could crack somebody, I feel like I trained myself to brush it off because intuitively I felt okay. Like taking a pause really started happening for me my second, third year of college. And then the more I started doing that, I was like, oh, wow, good things are coming. So maybe you should just keep relying on whatever, like go with the feeling of it versus going with logic. I'm a lot more practical and logical, but the intuition definitely outshines those other qualities.
Wow. I love that. Like being able to actually see that correlation of, wow, the more I actually tune in and like follow how you feel or what you believe, you noticed that good things came your way.
Yeah.
Oof. I love that you also shared that you're a youngest sibling, because I mean, I'm also a youngest sibling, so like young siblings rise up. Just, you know, if you're out there, we hear you.
Yes.
I kind of want to go back to that really quick, because I feel like I've always been a believer that like birth order definitely plays a role in like, right? Like how we develop, how we move through the world, what we think, what we feel. So I'm curious, how have you seen your role being the youngest child impact your own personal development? Do you think that's played a role in what you're doing now and like what your life looks like and how you move?
Yeah, definitely. I think about this so much.
Really? Okay.
Like every time somebody like brings something up and like I get into the reasons why I move the way I move, it's always, I'm a younger sibling, I'm a Pisces or a Scorpio rising. Like I have all of these things. Anyways, to answer your question, I think that it definitely has, especially because of the age gap that I have with my siblings, like 5 years with my brother and then 10 years with my sister. I always think of it in a sense of, yes, I'm the youngest, but it also kind of led me to have an only child mentality at some point, like how I was saying, like that middle school, high school. era of my life. The reason why I'm the way that I am when it comes to how I observe other people's emotions or how they speak, I'm very like an attentive listener. And I think it's because I had to be, because I was literally so young and my sister was already like a teenager and I didn't know what she was talking about, but I could tell she was emotional. So I would be like, if she's speaking about this certain situation, then I know it evokes whether she's feeling sad or when she's happy or she's angry. It's weird to think about it actually saying it now. They act this way because they feel that way. And so I think I kind of became the one in my family that if I did feel a certain way, like that was it. Like sometimes I would go to like a family house or something like that, or my cousins, or even like somebody I don't know, like my mom would take me to like her friends that I like didn't, like I met when I was 1 or like 2 years old. And I'd be like, I don't like the vibe here. Like I'd rather not be here. And I would tell her that. I always did it respectfully, but I would always just know like if I stay here and I feel this way, I'm gonna end up expressing this emotion and I don't care to have that right now. I don't know if that's a good thing, actually.
I mean, it sounds like
Does that make sense?
It does, because it sounds like you've always been, whether through nature, nurture, the fact that you're a Pisces with Scorpio and that big 3, like you've always been tuned in with yourself. And I think that's something that I personally think is super rare. Like, I feel like over time, that's something that's really hard to hold on to, at least for me personally. And I think that's part of what I've always loved and valued in our friendship, and what you model for me is it's literally possible to like hold on to that sense of self and like that sense of listening to yourself, because it can be really hard to drown out the noise or people please.
Yeah.
Right? Like I think that was something that I always struggled with growing up, is like people pleasing and wanting to look good and avoid looking bad and like making sure I was this quote unquote perfect youngest daughter. But I don't think I would have ever had the courage to tell my parents like, this ain't it. Like, we gotta go home.
Yeah, I feel like if you were to ask my mom, she'd be like, yeah, Janessa's really honest. Like, when I would be annoyed,
Love that.
they know.
I love that reframe.
It's being honest, direct.
I
These
would
are
have
good
never
things.
thought of that as like, she's just being honest. That to me, like literally in this moment, I'm just realizing how being honest about how I really feel. I mean, we could blame it on my Jupiter like placement, but we won't get into that either. That's for another day.
We can have a whole astrology
We can have
episode.
a whole other astrology episode. But I feel like I've always been someone who held in how I really feel, because I didn't feel like it was safe to actually say it. Because I think it was like, well, if I tell you how I really feel, you're going to take your love away. And so it's so beautiful. Again, it's like possible to be honest and like show up with how you really feel, and how that's actually a way to build your intuition, because you're honoring how you feel in the moment.
Yeah.
I just called that for myself, so thank you.
Well, that was beautifully said.
Thanks. You're always giving me these breakthroughs. Okay, let me go back to some of these questions.
Yeah.
I love to take us on all these little side quests and adventures. You've shared a little bit about your life. I have 2 like follow-ups that I kind of want to ask. One is, you're clearly an intuitive person. We've talked about that. Your unique birth order of being the youngest, but also how that's led you to feel like the only child. How do you think that helps you do what you do in the world of career and work? Because I think you're a thought leader and an expert in the digital media and social media space, and consumer marketing and experiential design. So if you had any kind of like inkling of how is that all connected to like how you're able to perform and work the way that you do, how do you think that's helped you?
I think it's made me a good collaborator. I think it's made me able to articulate my vision or my strategic POV of something in a way that people are receptive of it. Because I think in your career, you know, in the workplace, you deal with a lot of personalities. I've found even having my own team and direct reports who like I'm giving advice to, that it's more about understanding that person and how they are and what they care about and how they communicate, more than the actual work itself sometimes. Like I think that the reason why we worked so good together is because I understand your values, and I also understand that you need something to be delivered in a certain structure, right?
I am a Capricorn. So.
Yeah. So, and your way of working with me is so different than how we work with some of our other coworkers, where I try my best to be very attentive to, like, if I know that they don't operate well by 50 messages of certain things and they want something in like a pretty organized, typed up, wrapped in a bow email, like I'll do whatever which way, and I'm very adaptable to other people. So I think collaboration for sure, and just knowing who you're working with and understanding them and learning how to be receptive and move accordingly has gotten me really far in my career. And then I think on the creative aspect, I trust that I have good taste because I think about culturally what people care about so much. Like I said earlier, like I'm always reading comments and I'm always looking at, you know, the trends, and I'm always looking at what people value. And I think I've always had a sense of like, everyone is really loving this trend, but then there's a small group of people who are like apprehensive towards it or like hate it. Like cancel culture is so big right now, so I'm not even gonna get into that. I find that smaller group that doesn't like it more insightful than the larger group who loves things.
Yes.
And I think that there's always like a through line of it. Like you might think like this plant is ugly.
For those at home, we're looking at a plant right now.
I might think it's beautiful, but we can both agree that it's green.
Yes.
So I feel like what I try to do when I'm curating something that people will see or will read, I think about all of the different perspectives and mindsets and do my best to kind of find that through line to where I hope everyone will understand what I'm trying to say or what this is about. Mm-hmm. And most of the time I find that it's honestly just being like human and just being fun, lighthearted, that people gravitate towards too, especially in like a world of every day is like there's something happening that feels so heavy. So I think doing things in a very like lighthearted way that brings some like joy to someone's day, whether it's a marketing campaign, a beauty product, or like an exciting project, like it could be literally anything. But I think that has helped me in my career to move forward and innovate because I'm constantly paying attention to what the collective culture and the collective communities are thinking about, like what matters to them.
I think everything you said has so much to do with the same Janessa that would cry in front of the mirror and hype herself up and also go down those rabbit holes just out of curiosity to see what people are thinking and why. I think the fact that you've been able to do that since you were a young child and even being able to verbally say, Mom, I don't want to be in this stranger's house, like let's leave, is actually a direct correlation to why you do your work so well. There's an ability to be honest. There's an ability to tap in to like, this resonates or this doesn't. Because I think for me, selfishly, I'm always looking for examples of like, I think sometimes I grew up hearing stories of like, well, there's who you are as a person and then there's your job. And those are two separate things. But I think more and more we're moving into a world where everything is everything now. Like, is there such a thing as work-life balance? I don't know. I keep hearing work-life harmony. Like, I don't know if there is such a thing as like completely separating yourself from what you do. Because I do think that there is, at the end of the day, to your point, the world we live in, there's so many things changing and it can be hard to keep everything in these neat little boxes all the time. And I feel like in watching you and seeing how you work so well with literally everyone, in my opinion, I think it is because you're able to meet people where they are. I think it's easy to see people when you see yourself. So all that to say, it did answer my question.
Yes.
I think you did answer everything. Question. Okay. What about your life that you're living now, which we're now going to pivot into personal life because I love a good love story. I love love. I'm such a sap. I know I'm a Capricorn, but I really am a softie inside. Your life now that you're living, all of it, would you say like a younger baby Janessa would not believe? Like, if you sat down with her the way that we're chatting now on your couch, like, what would she kind of like flip out about and be like, oh my gosh, is that real?
Probably the length of the career that I've had and the relationship that I've had. Like, the many years that I've been in one thing in both of those worlds. Because I think as a child, I was so bored. Like, I would love something and then I'd move on to the next. And I thought I was gonna live my life like that.
Wow.
And then I fell into the beauty industry and then I met Donovan. So like 10 years in, that's crazy. Like 10 years is a long time.
That's a long time.
Yeah. She would be surprised.
That's commitment right there. That's commitment. Do you think you outgrew being bored, or do you think you stop being bored because you find something that's right for you?
That part.
Okay.
Yes. It feels right and it continues to feel right. And I trust that the second it doesn't, I don't need to be here. Like, it's all a choice, you know?
Dang, taking us to church. Okay. You're like, it's all a choice.
I'm just saying, it's all a choice.
I think that's so real. That's so real. This is very side tangent. I feel like it's important to say, because to me, Imaginal Goo is also just my own personal excuse to just like shower love on the people in my life, because it's just like a recorded conversation of the people that I love. So I just say that because something that I've also always admired about you is I really look up to you and Donovan in so many ways.
So sweet.
And I think it's so sweet. Again, I love love, but I also love y'all's love because, one, it's healthy in my opinion. And I think something that I always admire and look up to for anyone, male, female, non-binary, however you self-identify, is the quality of your relationships. And I feel like you are an example of a successful woman who's doing her thing, corporate baddie should you wish, and also has a loving, thriving personal relationship. And I don't think that that's very common, let alone in a healthy relationship. Again, I think that's a key adjective to use.
Yeah.
How have you been able to maintain that? Something you said at the beginning of this conversation was like a thing that's helped you move through your life is being selfish and actually choosing you. Mm-hmm. How have you been able to maintain and grow this relationship while also still growing as Janessa and like growing your career?
Short answer is that I've found Donovan who does the same for himself. When we first started our relationship, I don't think we realized that both of us were like that. And by like that, I mean hyper independent, like year 3 or 4. And we were both like, wow, we really are selfish, but like in a good way, because that means that we don't rely on each other to make each other happy. Like, it's just an add-on. Like, I love you so much that I'm going to choose to be here, and it adds so much more to my life than what I'm already working towards. I think that there's such a huge value in our relationship is the honesty of when like one of us is maybe not doing so well, and maybe we're having like a quarter-life crisis, or we're unsure about our career, or we're unsure about how we have acted in a certain situation or whatever, and we're able to like be a soundboard for each other. As much as I could give him my insight and point of view, and he very much respects it and does listen to it, he will still move how he chooses to move. And I do the same. And I think that's beautiful because we respect each other enough to be like, I know you got it on your own, but here's what I'll say. Yeah, I agree. Or like, I disagree. And I'll be like, okay.
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 Got it.
Got it.
That's so beautiful. I love it. And little baby Jay would be like, dang,
10 years.
we're out here.
I know.
It's a beautiful ring. Okay. One of the things that you said that I kind of want to also like dive a little bit more into is as you're like entering this like next chapter and honestly stage in your life, like you're also in your Saturn return.
Oof.
We won't go too much into that, but like,
Okay, cool.
You're like, let's not. Into this like season of change in a lot of different ways. What do you think has been the most challenging and also the most exciting? Like you talked about you're on the brink of like your imaginal goo.
Yeah, I genuinely feel like I'm still at the starting line and I just took like one step forward. What's challenging is that I almost feel as if I've checked all the goals that I've had on my life list off at this point in my life. But what's exciting is that I get to create like a whole new life after this. I think it's like a beautiful moment for me to just reevaluate what is important to me, and it's okay to like completely change directions if I want to. And I know that I can because I've seen other people do it. I feel like you're a great example of that. You've lived like 100 lives.
Y'all, I feel like I'm 100 years old. That's what it is.
No, but it's so inspiring to see and like be around, and like I love talking with you about it because I do think that you've had a huge impact on me, seeing that I could consistently evolve and change. Like I've always known that, but like you've reaffirmed it, and I think the more people that I'm meeting at this stage in my life are also reaffirming of that.
That's so great. And I feel like the fact that you're even able to like recognize that is so exciting. Like to literally know that you're on the brink of something.
I know, I'm excited. I don't know what's going to happen,
excited too.
but I'm excited.
I can't wait. I love it. I have a few more questions and then we'll slowly like get to the end of like the rapid fire. You've shared little pieces of different portions of your life, and I'd be curious, like for anyone who comes across this episode, no matter what stage in life that they're in, what would be a takeaway that you'd want them to get from listening to your story?
I'd want them to understand that any choice that you do make, there will be something valuable coming out of it. People make choices sometimes and they're like, oh, am I gonna regret this one day? Or like, oh, was this a mistake? Or like, am I doing the wrong thing? And then they start to second guess themselves. And I also do that too. It's like it's a normal human reaction. But like, if you're going to make a choice and you've built up the courage to finally tell yourself that you're gonna do this, then stick with it and see it through, and you will come out being better in any aspect of your life.
That's beautiful. I'm curious, when was the last time you felt like you did that for yourself?
I think it was when I moved into this apartment. Only because when I made the choice to move into this apartment, I was like, okay, it's not my dream apartment. It's not my next step before my home, which I thought at a point in my life, I thought if I were going to move again, this apartment is going to be my last and then I'm buying a home. But then when I got here, I was like, I know I can't buy a home. Like after
You're
this.
like, this isn't it right now.
Let's be so for real right now. It's not gonna happen. I think being here and staying and choosing to like renew my lease, being in a location is so interesting because sticking to it actually has been really nice for me because it's exposed me to a whole nother side and culture of LA, like the East Side, which like I love being in that community. And yeah, I feel like being in this environment and being able to like slowly build a home without actually having to like own a home was a little scary, but like I did it, and I love this apartment and I love this place.
I think that's such a perfect example of what you said, of like knowing that any choice you make, there's good that will come from it. And that sounds like a lot of good.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the place where you got engaged. This is the place where you're starting this new chapter, and like whether you end this whatever chapter here. Okay, I'm gonna go into some rapid fire questions.
Okay. I'm not good at these. I really...
Well, so I'm gonna ask you 5 questions and you just share whatever comes to mind first.
Okay.
I am so proud of myself for
how far I've come.
I forgive myself for
Ever doubting myself.
dear younger self.
Keep the excitement in life going. Be curious, have fun. Don't be sad.
Don't be sad, girl. Don't cry in the mirror.
Don't be sad.
I love it. Dear future self.
I'm proud of you.
Okay, last question. What is one thing you know to be capital T true?
What I know is true in life and in this world is that constantly evolving is the greatest thing you can do for yourself. No matter where you are in your life, change is important and it's needed. And you just gotta go with the change.
Ugh.
Keep it pushing.
Keep it pushing. That's it. Wise words. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm so glad that we had this conversation. I love you. I truly adore you.
I love you too.
I look up to you. And I'm so excited for what's to come. And for all of our listeners who tuned in, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Imaginal Goo. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.